Oh, I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for participating in the Power of Self-Talk. As you know, my name is Tarure Gatere, and I am the creator and facilitator of this coaching program. So today's video is the first in our series, and it's called Self-Talk. What is it and why is it important? Self-talk is a phrase that I use to describe our thoughts, but specifically the conversation that we have within ourselves, with ourselves, about ourselves. Our thoughts are not just these abstract things that don't have an effect on us. They're actually very powerful things that influence a lot more in our lives than maybe we are aware of. Our thoughts influence the mental and emotional environment within ourselves. Our mind basically consists of two things, our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. Now, there's a lot more complicated details that come into it, but generally, for the purposes of this workshop, these are the two parts that we're going to be working with. Our subconscious mind is the part of us that takes care of our body processes, but it's also the part of us that takes in what our conscious mind gives it and forms it into beliefs. That's where our beliefs are stored. If we think a particular thought over and over and over again, it becomes a habitual thought that then also sinks into our subconscious mind and becomes a belief. If we think about it this way, imagine a grassland and you're walking through that grassland. When you walk through it once, you probably won't leave an indentation in the grass. However, if you use that same particular path every single day for a month and multiple times a day, then what would happen is a path would start to form. Pretty soon, if you kept using it, the grass along that path would stop growing. And then it would become a clear path that would be easy for you to spot and be able to use as many times as you want. It would become a clear path eventually. Now, what happens is if we think a thought habitually and add emotion to it, it's almost like we've taken tarmac and made a whole road from that path. That's basically what it is. A habitual thought plus emotions regarding that thought become a very strong belief. And so that's how thoughts become beliefs. And then what does a belief do? Think about it this way. Have you ever had a limiting belief? Have you ever felt not good enough to do a particular thing? When you're doing that thing, how does it feel? How are you carrying yourself? Let's say you believed that you weren't good at public speaking and you had to give a presentation. Then what would that do? How would you do it? Of course, your physical and emotional responses within your body would be pretty intense, wouldn't they? You'd have to really psych yourself up and tell yourself things and give yourself pep talks to get out there and do what you want to do. Then that shows the effect of our beliefs. There's a wonderful saying that says, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you are right. And that's so true. Our beliefs inform our behavior in the most amazing ways. We can all relate to seeing a person who was low in confidence and one who's high in confidence. How do they carry themselves? How do they talk? What's their volume level? What's their body language? Are they slouched over, or are they open and receptive to the world around them? Are they carrying themselves with confidence? And that's exactly what I'm referring to. What we think about ourselves definitely affects how we interact with the world around us. It also affects the experiences that we attract into our lives. If we have a particular thought that life is hard, life is hard, life is hard, life is hard, then life will probably be hard. That's the power of our thoughts. They form our experiences. I wanted to share a personal experience with you, and I'm sure it's a story that I've told before, so if you have interacted with me, then you probably know it. I struggled with adult acne for very many years, and at first it wasn't that big a deal. I didn't really think about it until people started telling me about my skin. I'd go places and they'd be like, oh my gosh, what's going on? What happened to your skin? It used to be so smooth. What's going on now? And then that started to form thoughts in my mind, of course, because I was like, oh my gosh, maybe my skin is horrible. And I'd look in the mirror and I'd really start to wonder, oh my gosh, what's going on? Why is it like this? Is it ever going to go away? And then it started affecting how I felt about myself. So now I'd look in the mirror and think that my skin was ugly. I remember there's a time that I was going out with a girlfriend and we were getting ready in her house. And I remember that I started crying because I felt ugly. So those were the emotional responses. And then I started to notice something. The more stressed I got about the acne, the worse it got. And then pretty soon, I was running around looking for all kinds of remedies, trying to get this acne off my face. And I got into a cycle of stress and being frantic and stress and being frantic. And everything that I was doing was just making my skin worse. Until one day I had enough and I told myself, stop, I'm done with this. I threw away all the so-called remedies that I had and I just decided to be okay with the acne. And some days it was really difficult, especially in the beginning. Before I left the house, I'd have to give myself a really serious pep talk, that I'm beautiful and that I'm okay exactly as I am. And I could not imagine a day when I wouldn't feel stressed about the acne, but I knew that I just had to try to get there. So every day, even when I still had the negative thoughts about my skin, I would look at myself in the mirror and tell myself that I am beautiful. I started to create a different story about my acne. And some days, even having one full thought about that different story was difficult, but I kept at it every single day. And you can guess what happened after that. I stopped stressing about the acne. It didn't happen overnight, but slowly but surely, these thoughts of love and acceptance of myself started becoming habitual. And pretty soon, I would forget to look at myself in the mirror. I'd wash my face or, do my eyebrows or put makeup on my eyes, and I would barely notice my skin. And that's the power of self-talk, because not long after that, and I can't even tell you when because I honestly stopped noticing, my acne started to clear up. And sometimes I still get breakouts, I'm sure you can see this, but I just look at it and I just see it as a part of my skin cycle. It comes and goes, and if it stays, it's fine. I don't mind. I love myself. But that's the thing. I created a new path. I was used to talking negatively about myself to myself when it came to my skin. And slowly but surely, I created a new path with my thoughts. And that's what I would like to achieve with this workshop for you. Let's create some new paths within your mind as well. And so if you look at that example that I've just given you, you can see how one thought triggered by what people were saying about my skin created a whole story for me. And that's what happens. You start thinking a thought and then you start thinking it more and then it becomes a habitual thought and then you start believing in it and then it affects your behavior and then how you interact with the world gets also affected. And then that's how it just keeps going. It just keeps going like that in that cycle. And imagine if there are very many different subjects that you're having all these thoughts about. No wonder so many of us are stressed. And so what I hope is that with this workshop, we can get to a place where we start creating paths of your mind that can feel healthy for you, that would create a beautiful, happy, healthy, and loving mental and emotional environment within yourself. And of course, that means that you have to do the work. I'm not going to promise you that it's going to be easy, but what I can tell you is it's definitely worth it. And so the exercise that you're going to do this coming week is a session of meditation for 10 minutes every single day. You can pick whatever time works for you. Some people prefer to do it in the morning, others prefer to do it at night, right before they sleep. I use both those times because those are times when, I can find some peace and quiet and I can be by myself without being disturbed. And so the exercise that we're going to be doing this coming week is in two parts. One of the things that we're going to be doing is noticing our thoughts. Sometime during the day, as many times as you can, I would just like you to take a moment and just put some awareness in your mind. Just notice what you're thinking about. Notice your thoughts. Notice the thoughts that you're having. See how many of those are about you. And when they're about you, what are they thinking? Are you criticizing yourself? Are you encouraging yourself? Are you praising yourself? Whatever it is, we're not going to have any judgments about the thoughts. Just look at them and notice what they are. And the second thing that we're going to do is 5 to 10 minutes every single day. 10 minutes would be the best amount of time, but 5 to 10 is perfectly fine. Whether it's in the morning or the evening, anytime during the day that works for you, find a place where you cannot be disturbed. And just sit in silence for those 5 to 10 minutes with your eyes closed, just breathing in and out, noticing your breath. And every time your mind begins to wander, just bring it back to the breath. Just bring it back to the breath every single time. If this is your first time doing a meditation like this, then don't beat yourself up if you can't manage a lot of time with that concentrated breathing. Just gently bring yourself back to your breath. What these two exercises will do is bring awareness to how our minds function. It's going to start bringing a bit of space between us and the thoughts that we think. And then what that will do will make us see the cycle of our habitual thoughts. It's also going to help us create space between us and our habitual thoughts. Because the thing that you're going to realize in this workshop is that you are not your thoughts. You are a power far beyond those thoughts. Those are your exercises for the coming week. Do them to the very best of your ability. I always say, let's not say try, because trying is not a thing. Do it. And you can say, I will do my best to do these things. And of course, you have my email address. I am always available for questions and anything that comes up for you. Also, you can head over to Flight Coaching on Facebook. You can post on that page or message me. Have a beautiful week ahead, and I look forward to hearing your experiences during this first week. Have a lovely day, and we'll talk soon.